Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Zon Academy. Today we have Maria Connolly and Dan Elchinger from Exocad with us, and they're going to be monitoring me as I give you getting started with Exocad, single crown design. So this is my first time designing, everybody, so I hope you can bear with me. We're going to get started like any minute now. But it is April Fool's, so April Fool's, I am not doing the design portion at all. That'll be all Dan. But I just had to do April Fool's to somebody. And I just want to wish you all a very happy April Fool's Day. Try not to be too mean like I was before. But I want to welcome Dan to us. It's the second time he's with us here on Zon Academy, and he's done some great stuff with us at Chicago Lab Day. So we're so happy to have Dan back. This is the first of a series of 5 here in April. So every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be attacking and designing a new application with Exocad. So I'm going to bring Dan over to you. We're going to be getting started with Exocad, and he's going to be doing a demonstration of the single crown design. And at the end, we'll be doing a little bit of a poll. So stay on with us to the very end, okay? And I just wish everybody a good time here. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Dan.
Thanks, Fran. I appreciate the intro. That was very nice of you. So as Fran was saying, my name's Dan Elchinger. This is our first session with the Zon Academy for the month of April, as she was saying. So we're going to cover single crown design, and this is a very familiar topic for me. So with my background, primarily within the laboratory world, you guys can see my bio here. I won't read it all out, but as I'm sure a lot of you can relate, single crowns are a big part of our world in the lab industry. So with getting started with Exocad, we're going to kind of cover the foundations of design and expose you all to some of our latest features. So very excited to share. It's going to be able to enable a lot of productivity gains for you and your team. So let's go ahead and proceed. So speaking of productivity, so AI design, that's a new feature for us with our software. And we've always had a lot of automated features and settings to enable, so we'll cover some of those as well. Okay, so speaking of our AI services, if you're wanting to utilize these services, you need to have the latest 3.2 LFCNA version of DentalCAD. So if you're not sure of that, engine build 9036 or later, and it's totally integrated with your my.exocad account. So these features are available to users in the European Union and the United States of America. When it comes to True Smile video and True Smile photo, we won't cover those topics today in the live demonstration, but you will, that is required to have Smile Creator and True Smile modules. So covering some automated steps for our workflows. In the DentalCAD app design software, there's a settings menu where you can enable all of these features that we're talking about. And I'll go through that process as we get into the live demonstration. So small things that really kind of add up throughout the day. So being able to skip specific steps in the wizard workflow, enabling the virtual articulator to run automatically in the background, automatically cutting intersections with your design and the jaw scans. So your contacts, your occlusion, once you have your parameters where you want them, all that can be automatically done for you. And another feature with the simplified crown design workflow is to enable in-CAD nesting. So we have multiple machines that have, as we classify, chairside integration. So you can actually nest your crown in the CAD block while you're in the design UI and send it to your milling machine. Speaking of the virtual articulator, we've had some great updates with that. You can see in the image here, we've added some thumbnails to thumbnail images to quickly choose the articulator you utilize in the laboratory. Now, when you're simulating jaw movements, feedback we've gotten from laboratories and clinicians that the semi-adjustable articulators, typically you're moving that upper arch, and that's not how our jaws function. So some of the features that have been added is to basically choose which jaw is doing that simulation to be more relatable to all of our, anatomical situations. So another thing too is when you import additional scan data, let's say you have a pre-op or wax up scan, you can tell the virtual articulator to incorporate those scans to basically guide the influencing jaw movements. So it will influence those based on that scan data if you enable it via the checkboxes. And we've been getting a lot of great feedback on this. This kind of ties into us humans versus articulators. So from requests from users, they wanted something a little more anatomically correct. And this is what kind of started articulator option that simulate those lower jaw movements. And due to the positive feedback that we got with that, we've incorporated that lower arch movement for the semi-adjustable articulators as well. More automation. So with Model Creator, once you get to merge and save restorations with your design, you're going to have a quick one-click model design there. So that's going to automatically go through all the processes, add drain holes and supports for your model. And that enables the user to hop on into the next case while the computer's doing the work for you. When it comes to integration with our software, so our software, we definitely have market leading integration when it comes to 3D printers, materials, implants, and more. So one topic I wanted to point out today is Exoprint. With our software, we have several integrated 3D printers to where if you have that 3D printer company slicing software installed in the default location of that software's installer, our Dental DB is going to automatically detect that that software is on the PC and give a clickable button to where you can launch their slicing software and choose what parts of your design are going to automatically be added to the build plate. So right here's a QR code that'll take you directly to our website, exocad.com. And you can see on this image on the right here, there's an integration tab. So right now we've navigated to the 3D printer integration, and this is really going to expose all of the integrated 3D printers we have for that workflow I spoke of. So the great part of working with these 3D printing companies is all of their recommended settings for the resins, they are completely loaded in. So that's your starting point. I can speak from experience when it comes to adding in new technology into your laboratory. You constantly have to, call and see recommended settings, look at the instructions for use sheet that comes with your resins. That is something you don't necessarily have to worry about. It's already preloaded for you. So when it comes to getting started with specific materials, you choose your printer as a preset and then choose the corresponding resin for what you're actually going to be utilizing in your laboratory. And those presets are adjustable, customizable. So potentially you want to adjust some, settings on how the die interacts with the model base. You totally have that customization, and then you can save that as a customized preset and make it a default for future cases. So with all of the AI services I was speaking of, so we have AI crown design, True Smile video, and True Smile photo. Those are going to be available for the latest engine build, like I spoke of, but we have well-documented pages on our wiki page. So be sure to check those out. It's definitely some awesome services. You're going to love them, and it really enables productivity and increases communication and patient acceptance. So communication with our software, a lot of tools available for this. A lot of times your customers are going to want design approval. So when it comes to the multiple options you have, so first bullet point there, web view. So this is going to enable you to turn on any object on screen that you want to share with your customer, and you can generate a web view link. And that QR code, if you all take the time to scan that, it's going to bring you to a sample web view link. And like I was saying, within the software, any object that you want to show to the customer for, we'll say, design approval, or you need some collaboration with your customer, it's quick, simple, easy. The person that's receiving the link can open that on their phone, computer, tablet, and they can quickly view the situation within design software you're working on. Up next is dental share, so peer-to-peer. This truly enables collaboration from design centers, laboratories, surgical guide centers as well. So basically any service you can think of, it's a simple click of a button and you can send on to your next to the next station. So, and then there's also PDF generation. So with our automatically generated PDFs, you're going to get a series of screenshots showing the specific viewpoints. So it's going to basically give those automated screenshots. And then on top of that, we actually have a tool that allows you to add additional screenshots that you take yourself. And you can edit those screenshots, add in text, or we'll say, certain shapes, maybe arrows pointing out a specific situation that you want your customer to visualize when you're having that communication back and forth. So it's kind of so many options when it comes to communication and getting that feedback you need to proceed with the restorative options that you're designing. And now, again, to touch base on the integrated AI solutions. So we've been talking about True Smile Video. You can see this example on the bottom right here. So basically, when you utilize Smile Creator, you're going to have the ability to give the patient a presentation on what their new smile is going to look like. And at the end of the process, you have the ability to upload up to a 30-second video of the patient smiling, laughing, talking. And our AI services is going to take that video of the patient talking and replace it with your design. And as you can see in the example down here, the rendering looks amazing. So for all those patients out there that are somewhat indecisive like myself with moving forward with treatment plans, it's a big investment on the patient's end. It's, when you're thinking of thousands of dollars to improve your, smile and your aesthetics, this really kind of leaves out any room for imagination. It's really showing you what your new smile is going to look like. So very powerful sales tool when it comes to your customers. It's no more room for imagination. It's right there in front of you. And then once you get that approval from the customer, it's your design's ready to roll and you can proceed forward. One thing I wanted to touch base on. So when it comes to training, we have several options with that. First and foremost, we always say reach out to your reseller. They're your business partner when it comes to your digital workflow with Exocad. Now, all of our reseller partners, so Zahn Dental, for instance, I mean, I don't think I have to sell them on their experience and expertise in our industry. They're well trusted within our industry, but we do get requests time to time, and basically every trade show I've been to when representing Exocad, how can I get trained by Exocad's team? So this is one option you have. So with shop.exocad.com, we offer personalized introductory trainings. So you can have up to 25 employees of yours join those trainings. It's basically like a webinar based session. And once your organization chooses to purchase a training, someone from our organization is going to reach out to you and really have that discussion. What are your needs? What are you trying to achieve with our software? How can we help you out? And then from there, we'll develop that tailored training for your organization to help you meet those needs. And throughout all the software solutions we offer, chairside CAD, dental CAD, or Exoplan, we have training packages available. Everything from 30-minute sessions up to 12-hour training blocks where we can schedule multiple sessions with you. And all of these trainings, the participants will receive a certificate after completing that course, and the recordings are going to be available for you. So with the recordings, I think I always like to think about this back at my time in the lab. So we always, have a need for training, right? And, in a perfect world, the training needs are because our business is growing, we're getting in more cases, and we hired a new technician. And outside of that, unfortunately, turnover is a thing. People go to different departments or go to different roles at another organization. So with those recordings, it's a very valuable tool to kind of save you time to get your team members up to speed, and you'll have that in reference, for life at that point. All right, so our next offering, so this is exciting. We do have a new headquarters in North America. So in just a little outside the Boston area, so Wakefield, Massachusetts. You can see the QR code there. We do have our first in-house training courses that are available. So next week we're gonna be covering the advanced techniques in smile design. So it's really diving into Smile Creator, all those great features that we were talking about with utilizing patients' photos and patient videos to get that patient acceptance. And then in May 9th, we're going to have a course dedicated covering partial CAD and quick snap solutions. So we're going to have Bago at the event co-sponsoring that. And my friend Lucas Chardulo, who I work closely with, he's going to be leading those first two sessions. So definitely scan that QR code to get some additional information. We have a great modernized training room with, we're going to provide laptops, the licenses, so you just come in to learn, and we have everything else covered for you. Just a little update. So 15 years of Exocad, it's something we're very excited to celebrate and share with everyone. So basically at all of our live trade show events where we have a booth, we're going to be celebrating, an hour of the day, and we encourage everybody to visit our booth and come have some cupcakes with us and celebrate this massive milestone of our company. And when it comes to staying up to date with us, so there's a couple of things here. The Exocad blog, the Exo blog, this is a great newsletter that comes out to where you can actually read from industry experts, whether it's clinicians or dental laboratory, master dental technicians that basically share their experiences with our software. And very informative, and it's very relatable to all of us. And then the next one is our news bites. So when it comes to news bites, it's got a lot of information, what's going on with our company, whether it's events that we're going to be either speaking at, or we have a booth at trade shows. Also things like integration. Maybe you want to stay up to date on new articulators or implants or denture teeth libraries, just some examples. Basically everything that's getting updated with the software is going to be listed in there, and that's how you can stay in the know with us. So one thing to be mindful of, there's two license models with our software. There's perpetual and flex. So the perpetual, basically when you buy a perpetual license, you own that version for life. And then you have the option to include your update agreement. So there's update contract. And if you choose to opt out of that, then at that point, you can only utilize the latest version you had installed at that time. But I'm sure you all are aware, every year our development team puts out amazing new features and workflows that, kind of open the doors for further digital workflow. So for those of you that are kind of out of contract, this is a big savings. So we do have a hard stop on April 4th, but you can see here to waive that upgrade fee, so that to get back into the refresh of your upgrade fee. So that's $1,950 up to that value. So to avoid that refresh free and just get back to your normal upgrade contract annual costs, this is the time to do it. I highly recommend contacting your technical reps at Zahn Dental. They'll be able to help you out with that. So thank you all for showing up. This is the end of the webinar. No, I'm just joking. April Fools, as my friend Fran said. So getting started in the live demo. For those of you who haven't used Exocad before, this is our Dental DB. So the Dental DB is going to house all of your client or clinician, so your customer, your patient information, and it's going to be how you create all your cases and launch all the different tools and workflows we have to offer. So just to kind of talk into that some more, for those of you that do have Exocad already, we're going to be talking a lot about AI crown design in this session. So some of you may not have this button available. We can see AI crown design. To enable that, you're going to have this gear icon you can select and go to your settings. So within settings, you're going to see a slew of options to kind of configure your software. So for me, I do have dark mode enabled. I kind of prefer that, a little easier on the eyes. This is where you can choose your tooth numbering notation. So I do have universal. That's predominantly what's used in the US market. But what I was talking about with AI crown design, we can go to cloud, and you're just going to want to toggle this switch to make sure it's turned on. And the majority of our settings, after you configure them, you'll just have to close out the software and reopen them to see those changes. Now, when it comes to crown design, we're going to start off simple. We'll crawl, walk, run. But for this case right here, this is a scenario where you have a pre-op you want to match exactly. So when you're defining this case, the first step, you're going to fill out your client name. And right now it says demo case, but to add new clients, basically when you're doing this, this is a great option too. I know some labs don't utilize this completely, but you can create a client for every customer you do work for. And the benefit for that is when you're configuring a case, you can change default parameters for each client or customer. We all have dentists that, prefer, we'll say, maybe more passive contacts, or some that have preferences that want, tall, broad contacts, heavy pressure. So you can really customize that by customer to make sure you're meeting those preferences. Now, after you fill out your client, select your client, then you'll select your patient name. You'll type that in. For our demo cases, we just have descriptive terms for the patient name. Now I'm going to go ahead and left click on the teeth that's prepared here. So we have tooth number 9, and we have anatomic crown selected. And if I scroll down, that's the material we have as well. So after you select the restorative option, then you're going to be able to select what material. And after that, you're going to see your options and parameters. For those of you who haven't used the software, basically this is how you're going to define additional workflows. So we're telling the software, is the restoration I'm working on that I'm making an anatomic crown, do I want a custom abutment as well? Do I want to make it screw retained? And so forth. Now, to go back to the pre-op, so an additional scans, a pre-op model. So if you have something that you want to copy exactly, you can tell the software I have a pre-op. And then additional design steps in a wizard right here, we have enabled copy or mirror. And it's as simple as left clicking on or off to enable or disable that feature. So that's going to give you an automated step in the wizard. You're telling the software, I have this pre-op scan, it's great, I want to utilize it, and copy it exactly. Now, show additional parameters. So you can see some of these objects, line items are outlined in yellow. That's telling you that you have changed the default parameters of the software for the specific client or customer that you have defined this case for. So when you go to change any of these, and this is all configurable, like I said, it's client base or customer base. So for Dr. Smith, as you know, as an example, if you want to adjust distance to antagonists or distance to neighbors, so that's controlling your relation to your opposing scan and your neighboring teeth on your arch scan, your preparation arch scan. So you can see these specific values here. They're for the AI crown workflows. If you look up here, if you're not using the AI crown workflow, you can change those parameters as well. But as I go to change those, it's just a visual indicator, just to let the user know that that is going to adjust the default for Dr. Smith when you select anatomic crown and the same material. So when you select OK, the next time you have those same selections, it's going to be displayed in yellow. And you can always reset values to material defaults if you do that by mistake. So another thing with the AI design, if you want to decide in the wizard every time, or yes, always automatically when a project is loaded, or no, in expert mode. So when it comes to expert mode, we can talk about that a little bit further on, but that's one of the amazing things about our software. It's total freedom of when you're using the software. So anytime you can do any step, whether it's a step that's been completed or a step that's further along in the wizard workflow, you can bounce around, change things, recalculate, we'll say the internal fit, load new scans, replace existing scans. It's pretty amazing how you can have that flexibility and just take care of what needs to be done at any time with our software. So moving forward, at this point, I'm just going to launch the software and we'll go ahead and select design. Okay, so scene files. I have completed this case before. So the software recognizes scene files that I've saved. In this scenario, we're going to start from scratch. This is a good talking point about our software, is being able to save your position in your design, get that customer feedback, or maybe it's the end of the day and you're working on a large case and you got to leave the lab for the day. So when it comes to scene files, you can open up and start exactly where you left off. So another testament to the flexibility of the software. So we do have a pre-op scan here that we can visually see. It's already aligned. Anytime you have a pre-op, you'll have the ability to correct that pre-op placement. We're going to proceed forward. I'm going to use Control and Space Bar. It's probably one of my favorite hotkeys in the software. And when it comes to the next step, scan data editor. So this is a very great tool that allows you to basically stay in the software. I think we've all seen scans that, how should I put it, are not optimal. We may have some distortions, holes in the scans. For instance, if you have a small hole, you can simply highlight around it, double click to complete your selection, and then select close holes, just as an example. Another thing, you can quickly trim away any unwanted material with just simple clicks, and then you can proceed forward. So I know throughout my career, there's been several times I've had to leave a software I was using, open up a third-party software, clean up those scans, and then go back, reload my new scans. That's not the case with Exocad. So AI crown design, I'm going to skip this one, and we're going to pull up some additional cases after the fact. So when it comes to margin line detection, you simply just left click on the patient's margin, and the software is going to detect it. From there, you can go to the correct to draw tab, do some simple editing, left click and drag control points. You can left click on the margin line itself and add additional points. To remove points, you just simply left click, hold, then right click. So left click to add, left click, hold, then right click to delete a point. And then from there, you can see the purple circle there. That's giving you a 2D cross section of that margin line. So quickly you can tell if with the points you're placing, if you have an overextension or your margin's short. That is configurable within the settings to turn that on or off, and it's on by default. So I'm going to proceed forward now again. And that'll bring us to our crown bottom step. So the crown bottom is going to basically generate your internal fit of your restorations. Now it's color coded here, so no cement gap is basically where you're wanting to have the margin sealed. And then where it's yellow, that's where your gap is at. So from a spacing standpoint, it's simple. Once you have your parameters where you want them, typically you're just going to move forward by selecting next at this step. There's a lot of configurable options to kind of adjust how the crown's shaped coming off of your crown. For instance, one of the most, I would say, adjusted ones that people I talk to is the horizontal offset coming off of the margin. Now, when you're new to Exocad, you're gonna see and you should be utilizing this question mark. We have a great team that works on updating all the documentation for our software. So anytime you select a question mark in our software, it's going to directly take you to documentation covering that step. And it's going to outline every button, giving you very clear, direct definitions of those settings or parameters that you're going to adjust, and outline all the functionality of that wizard step. So definitely check that out, especially if you're new to the software. I always recommend kind of starting off on some sample cases, clicking through, reading the documentation, playing with the tools and buttons that it describes. It's really going to help kind of bridge that gap to give you the knowledge you need to move forward. Now, before I proceed here, we're going to see we do have an arrow here. That arrow is symbolizing the insertion direction. So at any time in our software, you can right click in the background and you're going to see a context menu. Now, with this, we have the insertion direction that we can visit. So anytime the software you have defined as a 5-axis workflow in the materials within the DB, I'll go back a second. So I'm going to click on this tooth again. You can see 5-axis laser 3D print. That's the default option, or 3-4-axis. So when the 5-axis selection is utilized, the insertion direction is going to be automatically set for you. You can change that at any time, and that way you can adjust by rotating or left clicking and dragging the arrow and then seeing an updated live update on the undercuts as you visualize. So you can set from view or use the arrow. All right, so proceeding forward here, we're going to go to the next step, copy mirror tooth, because we selected that in the dental DB. So the software has automatically copied that pre-op. I just turned it back on and off with the letter P. And you can also see in what we call the show hide menu. This is going to control the visualization of your meshes. So you can see antagonist is automatically turned off at this step. You can turn it back on with clicking on that eye icon. And you can left click and drag to change the transparency by any object within the show hide. One thing to note with the show hide, it's as you're proceeding through the workflow, there's new objects that are going to arise in that menu. Now, this is great, but another hotkey that I love to utilize is you hold the shift button on your keyboard and your mouse wheel button, if you click it in like a button, that's going to toggle your transparency to all your objects. Now, sometimes you need to turn items off. So that would be control and mouse wheel button. And then if you want to turn items back on, control, shift, and mouse wheel button. And it'll toggle those items back in the order you turn them off. So other visualization objects that are, I'd recommend getting used to is just some simple hotkeys. So like A for your antagonist scan, S for your scan data of your arch that you're working on. And I already mentioned the P for pre-op. So quick, easy ways to kind of utilize that. Now, we told the software we wanted to copy the pre-op up front. I can always select no use from tooth library if I decide, I want to see what libraries I can utilize instead. But for this workflow, we'll just select yes, continue with copied tooth. And right now we're generating the crowns. I have some automated features to basically auto adjust the occlusion and approximal contacts to save me time. And if you don't turn those on and you want to customize the contacts, how they're utilized. So you're going to go to the free tab, adapt, and then choose a value or utilize the arrows to adjust the distance between the opposing for your occlusion. So that works for your static occlusion, which would be when you don't utilize the virtual articulator. So we can utilize the virtual articulator in another case, and we'll just kind of proceed forward. But just something that some new users don't realize, that these are drop downs. So for instance, if you want to exclude selected areas, you can actually paint spots. Maybe you want to keep specific heavy occlusion on a certain area. Maybe minimum thickness is a factor and you're making like an occlusal island. You can actually paint areas to tell the software, do not utilize that functionality in this specific area. Now, the same goes for proximal, except for you're going to see more behaviors here. One of my favorites here is a block out adjacent. So when you utilize that, the software is going to look at your insertion direction and basically block out areas on the neighboring teeth that have undercut. So I'm sure a lot of you that are well into your digital journey, as I put it, you've had scenarios to where, I use this perfect value that I've tested and I'm having the crown's just not seating. It's getting hung up on the gingival third or, around the emergence profile. Now, a lot of times it's because of your insertion direction. And you may have to adjust your path of insertion, as we discussed earlier. Or in this scenario, if we use block out adjacent, it's going to eliminate all those interferences that are holding the crown from seating fully. So this is something, I utilize pretty much on every case, and it really avoids any additional adjustments needed by hand, post processing from milling or 3D printing, depending on what material you're working on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed forward. Again, instead of selecting next, control plus the space bar. Now, if you look here, how I'm hovering, I'm seeing that tooltip. It's another thing to consider when you're utilizing a software for the first time. As you go through and hover over these tool buttons, you can see a hotkey is assigned to the majority of the functionality in our software. Now, whether you're somebody that loves hotkeys or not, those are readily available for you, and it'll, basically just make you more productive quicker. So something check out, fully recommend that. And we've already cut our contacts, but just a brief overview of tools. So with add and remove, your default behavior is when you left click, you're adding material. Now, again, if you hover over here, if I hold shift, it's going to change the behavior to removing material. The same goes for smooth and flatten. So the default behavior is to smooth material, where it's going to blend high and low spots. Typically what you would expect from a smoothing option. But the flatten, I really love this tool, especially like when you're working on, we'll say Ponix, for instance. You might need to open up the lingual area to make a modified ridge lap, or you might want to shape your Ponix to be more ovated or a bullet shape, for hygienic purposes. When you hold shift, when the smooth and flat tool is enabled, that's bringing you into the flatten object. So when it comes to, let me turn off that pre-op, but you will dramatically change the shape of the object you're working on. And like I said, it comes in handy a lot, especially when you're working on those bridges. So just as we go through the different cases, I'll kind of cover other tools, but that's something I definitely want to make sure everybody's aware of. So in essence, we're finished with the restoration. We're finished with our crown. That is probably one of the quickest workflows you can find when you're copying a pre-op with our software. Now, let's say we want to make a model. I can go to Quick Model Design and select Next. Software is asking if I want to save an additional scene file. I'm just going to bypass that and not save it. So now that the software is working for me, I'm going to go back to my DB. And at this point, I'm going to go to my load screen and work on my next case. So here's another single unit crown case that we can start on. So at this point, we can briefly look real quick. We have an anatomic crown. We have a hybrid ceramic selected. We don't have a pre-op. So we're going to utilize our AI crown design. So I can just select this and go straight into it, or go to the design button and then have the option to utilize that cloud-based service. So I'm going to load my scan data only, and the software has recognized that I have tooth model files, and I'm not going to load those. And the tooth model files are great when you're working on, I would say, a treatment plan for a patient, and you want to basically provide them a smile design on what their treatment could be if they accept it. If they accept that, and you now receive a new arch scan that's where the patient's been prepped, you can load in that new arch scan, reopen the case, and the software automatically is going to ask you, do you want to use that previous design as your tooth library? So from a time savings, that's huge. If a customer signs off on a specific design for that to be their new smile, you want that to be your starting point the next time you open the software after they've been prepped. So we've already kind of discussed the scan data editor. I'm going to go ahead and proceed forward. And that brings us to our cloud AI crown design. Now, to have this enabled, like I said, you do need the latest engine build. So if you look at the bottom right of your screen, I'm on version 3.2-9037. So the 9037 is the engine build. Now, I'm in the US market, so that's the FDA cleared version. Now, if you're, outside of the US, there's 9036, but for the cloud-based features, specifically AI crown design, True Smile photo, and True Smile video, you're going to need that version. So I'm going to go to Tools and Settings. I already have these enabled, obviously. Now, when you go into our settings menu, we talked about a lot of settings, in the PowerPoint earlier, just kind of brief what we're covering today. So once again, interface theme, I have dark mode. You can change your background colors, do gradient shades, everything of that nature. Now, there's also incognito mode. So if I were utilizing a case that actually had patient name and it was displayed here or other steps in the software, you can enable that. And that way it doesn't, share any patient information. But if I go to design workflows, I'm going to see our simplified crown design. And then also cloud. So this specific tab here, the first step you're going to have to is enable that back end for the cloud. So this option right here basically allows your software to connect to our cloud-based services. Then from there, you're going to see this section for design. What services do you want to enable? So if you want to allow multi-two segmentation, which we're not really covering today, but that's going to give you automated separation for, we'll say, 360-degree denture scans for duplicate dentures. Very streamlined workflow. We're getting amazing feedback for that. And then the next one, allow cloud-based crown generation, AI crowns. So that is the service we're going to be talking about. And our wiki pages are thoroughly documented for all these new features. So you can really see how to enable them and then how to proceed forward with that process. So again, hats off to our customer education team for staying so up to date with that documentation. I can, I only wish when I started within digital dentistry, getting close to 20 years ago at this point, the documentation was lacking. I think we, those of you who've been doing this as long as I have, you can agree and probably add on to that statement. So in between that and our YouTube channel, new users have a lot of resources available outside of working with their reseller, their business partner to get those tools, and then working with our team with the web shop or visiting our location and getting trained in person. So turn on all the features you want to utilize, and then from there you'll have a slew of options to, like with add-on modules, for instance, like articulator. Do you want to use the auto articulator? That's going to simulate jaw movements in the background. So for me, once you have your default parameters set, your fit, how you want your occlusion contacts adapted to the neighboring teeth and opposing scans, turn those on, save some time. So I'll go ahead and close out of this, but I want to at least talk about how to enable these features. So with our cloud AI crown design, your first option is to choose a style. So auto detect, the software is basically going to survey the patient's existing dentition and the space that's there, and it's going to basically choose and provide you a design proposal. So auto detect's turned on right now. We can go with that. If you want to use adjacent or contralateral indications, so if you wanted to mirror a tooth on the other quadrant or copy the shape of a neighboring tooth, that'd be your choice, or a specific tooth library, for instance. You have all that right at your discretion. From there, parameters. So when it comes to parameters, here are the options you have to adjust. So We covered this in the DB as well, how you can do your distance to antagonist, distance to neighbor, and then aerial adjacent contacts. So basically, if you want more broad, tall, shaped contacts, you're going to be at a higher value. Or if you want more passive, more pinpoint contacts, so you'll take that scroll bar to the left. And then prefer smooth versus details. That's going to allow you to tell the software, like, basically from an anatomic features, how much detailed anatomy do you want? You know, I'm sure everybody can relate. We have a lot of people with different preferences, whether they want secondary anatomy or not. They want more of a smoother finish. But let's say we have all the parameters set that we want, and we can request our cloud crown generation. From there, by default, you're going to see this pop up. It's going to give you an option for these clickable links for your terms and conditions and your privacy notice. So when you're utilizing the AI cloud service to reach our secure server here, you'll be able to read through that and then confirm and agree. And there is a checkbox to remember the selection for all cases. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm and agree. So typically what I see is roughly around 1 minute and 30 seconds for this. But similar to what I was talking about earlier, we have a generation going back to my DB now. I'm going to load my next case. So when you're trying to make the most out of your productivity, let our software do the work for you and prepare your next case. Maybe you don't have it created yet, so you start your new order form and so forth. But I have these already, pre-set up, so we can go ahead and move into design again. So as that is generating, like I was saying, we can go back to our automatic model that's been done for us. I'm going to get my new case loaded up, and we can see this is finished now. So let the software work in the background for you. Utilize those automated features, and there's a lot of them, and it's going to help your production, help you get through that work quicker. And from an organization standpoint, if you're doing high volume, you can really focus on getting those design works finished at a faster rate, extremely faster rate. And then outside of that, there's your model creation and so forth. So we'll go ahead and proceed and not save or scene. So we're done with that one. I can request my cloud calculation on this case as well, confirm and agree. And I have my finished proposal here. So at this point, I have kind of a fork in the road here. I can tell the software I'm happy with it, give me the fast workflow. So that's going to take us straight to freeforming. Or use design but customize manually. That'll take me to tooth placement. So I can use a whole array of tools that are available to adjust positioning. Or not accept and use the normal workflow. Then you can rate your design that you received. And if you want to, you can enable this drop down here and really rate all the features that have been given to you. How's the occlusion? How's your contacts and so forth? Now that's going to be able to train that service so you get more desirable results. Because I think, every laboratory has their own standards and preferences, and same with our customers that send us work. So that's a way how you can train the system. So in this scenario, I'm going to say I'm happy with the results and I'm going to move forward. And that'll bring us to our margin line detection. So I have the margin already marked, or I can left click and mark it again, but we're just going to proceed forward. And now I have the ability to adjust my crown bottoms. And we're happy with that. So now it's generating our crown. It's taking us directly to our freeforming. Now, something I didn't mention earlier with the freeforming is all of these presets here. So the way our software is configured, it's really going to give you more control of the movements you're making. So when it comes to the green highlighted area, so cusp is selected on the presets. So as I'm utilizing these, it's only going to allow me to focus in the green highlighted areas. So for instance, with grabbing and pulling material, it's it gives a lot more control, especially with ridge. So if you have really small areas. So the tools that are put in place are really going to give you, specific areas that allow you to not mess up your design, basically. So from here, I kind of played around a little bit. We'll cut all our intersections and proceed forward. So in this scenario, we can say I'm done as well, or do our quick model design, or go into our basic design model. So those are just some options you can utilize. And now I have my other crown finished. So I think you all can imagine right now how you can utilize the AI crown design to expedite your production. So I've been talking throughout the whole process, taking pauses, showing different buttons, but just imagine with your experienced design team, how productive they can get utilizing these features. Um, it's kind of endless to me to like how quick somebody could get. And I know if I had this on the days of overtime, it's a feast or famine in our world. I'm sure everybody can relate with that. I wish I had these tools. And with basic crown design, with our software, there's tools that as you're positioning your tooth library, you're rotating, you're scaling, the software's automatically adapting to the occlusal surface. Like there's so much features built in that make designing so simple compared to what it's been in the past. And I think there's a misconception with Exocad. I've heard people say it's so difficult or complex. If you're in the wizard mode, it's beyond simple. And to add on the complexity of our software, we do have expert mode. So back to the flexibility standpoint of our software, you can do anything you want at any time. You want to add virtual gingiva to a design. You need to replace specific scan data, go into expert mode, your tools, and these options are going to expand compared to what they normally are. So add remove mesh at any time. You need to add new scan data, maybe you received a face scan, an extra jaw scan, you can utilize that to replace the jaw. So it's quick, easy, seamless. So if I want to replace the jaw scan, I select the corresponding jaw and then proceed forward. So it's the same exact jaw scan, but I want to at least just walk through that workflow for you all. In expert mode, there is a bottom toolbar as well. So I can go to my scan alignment, position my scans, and then, pick a corresponding point on each object. Just make sure they're in the same orientation. And then you'll have the option, do you want to merge the scan data, combine them, select just specific areas of that new scan to replace, or replace the whole scan data? And at that point, that's how you replace a jaw scan. It's so simple. So then we can hop back into our wizard mode, cut all of our intersections. If you need to recalculate your crown bottoms, you just go to that in wizard mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and select I'm done. Notice we're kind of getting close to time here, but speaking of Exoprint, so on our status bar here, we see we're green on CAD. I have a finished design. I can just select one of my 3D printers I have. And unfortunately, I don't have any in my office, but just to kind of paint the picture for you all. So you choose the printer that you have their slicing software installed, and our software adds those buttons automatically. And then if I had multiple objects, I choose the ones I want to add to the build plates, and I proceed to printing. And then from there, our software is going to open that slicing software and add the parts that you selected onto the build plate for you. So from here, at any time, I could minimize this and then go back to another case and add additional parts. So navigating, it's a lot of intuitive features that have been added, and it's really derived from all of our users. So basically, we look at feature requests very seriously with our company, and I totally respect and love that about our company and our development team. A lot of these features we have are derived from our customers. So, feel free to reach out to us at feedback@exocad.com. We're always interested in what features and tools that you think will improve your workflows. So we meet on those minimum once a week. And I always love seeing and hearing the out of the box ideas that our users have. So, don't be shy, email us. We love to hear your feedback. Okay, so from there we went through some crowns. And Fran, do we have any questions?
So we're open for questions right now. If anybody has any, please type them in to the Q&A section on your screen, and I'll be happy to give them over to Dan so that he can answer them. Dan, are you done with your presentation right now?
Yeah, I thought we were at time. So, I mean, I could go all day, but
I know,
well, we
it's so true. And I'm so glad that, we decided to do these, courses week to week. So if we have any questions on the prior week, our viewers, of course, can ask them, at any time. I just want to let
right.
everybody know that next week, we have on Tuesday 4/8 the surgical guides and splint design with Dan. He's coming back, and he'll be with us, every Tuesday for this month. We do have a question. Here we go. Yes, there is. Peter wants to know if we have a recording of this webinar, and we do. Every single one will be recorded and sent to you in your email, by our Zon marketing team. So you will get this recording that you could look at it over and over again if you wish to. But I just want to launch just two polls really quick. One is, if you don't have Exocad software right now, if you were looking to add it to your laboratory, and if you are, it'll be me that'll be giving you a call just to discuss this. If you wouldn't mind just answering this quick poll, I'll keep it up for another 15 seconds.
I did see a question come in on how many cases can you have open at a time?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't maxed it out. I know there's times where I'll have, 10 cases open. A big part of my role with Exocad is supporting our resellers and doing training. So, I would say for your PC, make sure you have a solid video, like a graphics card and a fair amount of RAM, if you're really wanting to kind of push the limits with that. So, I can't fully answer that because I don't think I've maxed it out personally.
So our next
Um,
poll is up, and that is if you'd like to attend an Exocad hands-on course with us. Now, we're planning on heading over to Boston. We have a technology center that's literally right across the pond, they say, right from Exocad. And we're looking to hold a few courses this summer, whether it be June or July. If you are interested in any of these courses, as soon as I get your information, probably sometime tomorrow, I'll give you a call and we'll discuss exactly what you're looking to do, when your availability is. And we also have a corporate rate on a hotel that is literally right across the street from both our office as well as Exocad. So we can get you a great rate to stay, and you can enjoy maybe a day or two in Boston. So that would be a lot of fun. Again, I know we do have 4 or 5 people that are interested in a hands-on course from this one, and I will definitely reach out to you probably sometime tomorrow to discuss it. So I look forward to that.
all right.
We do have additional questions, Dan. Yes.
We do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have how many? So we did that. How long does AI take to design?
Yeah, so typically what I see is roughly a minute and 30 seconds till you get your proposal. Now, obviously that depends on your internet speed, but in my office, I'm not running fiber or anything like that. Mine's pretty moderate when it comes to what's available from, internet providers these days. So I think it's safe to expect that. Now, and then from there, do you need multiple licenses for multiple users? Yes. So you'll need, if you're simultaneously using a software, each design station would need their own license. Can I change the screw channel diameter on an implant library proposed crown? That's kind of a little out of scope. Most of those are defined by the manufacturer or the implant manufacturer. So all of our libraries typically come from, we'll say like Straumann or Nobel or Argan or, all the implant manufacturers out there that have libraries with us. They're provided from the manufacturer, and just ensuring that we meet FDA guidelines. Do bite scans not need to be uploaded? Is it all pre-generated? So depending on the scanning system you utilize, typically the arch scans are in the proper orientation. So you'd scan your bite during that process and align the arches to it. In those scenarios, you definitely don't need to load in the bite scan. You can. As I showed earlier in the expert mode tools, add remove mesh, there is a bite alignment mesh type that you can select. So I would say majority of cases you won't need to utilize that, but in the scenario where you have a new updated bite alignment scan, you can add that into the workflow at any time and realign the arches. So yeah, so for those scenarios where, maybe you have a try-in, as an example, and the clinician gives you a new bite scan, then in those scenarios, you can add it in to your existing design.
So I think that's it on the questions. If there's any others, please, you could type them in now. If you come up with a question and you want to ask Dan, you can get them over to zondental@henryschein.com and we'll get those questions over. But hopefully we'll see you all back here next week. I just want to let you know what's happening tomorrow on Zon Academy. We have Milos Markovic, who is a CDT, and he is the CAD, CAM, and implant specialist over at Aurora Digital Technology Center. And he's going to be speaking to us about the new Formlabs Form BL and how that printer has really helped them scale their business and talk about all the different specifications about the printer and the different applications that they print. So we'd love it if you could join us tomorrow. That's 2 p.m. here, right back on Zon Academy. Just go to the education page and click onto events, and you'll be able to register for that anytime today or tomorrow. 2 p.m. Eastern is when we go live with that as well. And we'll be seeing Dan and Maria next week here, April 8th, next Tuesday, for the surgical guide and splint design. So we look forward to seeing you next week. And I want to thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today.
Oh, likewise.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, it's such an honor to be able to speak on behalf of Exocad and to join with Fran and, speak on behalf of Zon Dental. It's what an amazing opportunity. So thanks for that. And, for all of you that are interested in our latest features, some of them we discuss, reach out to Zon Dental and your technology rep. They'll be able to help you get back on track and get that latest version. So for all you perpetual users, take advantage of that discount. It's a lot of savings. So
yeah, and I'll be reaching out to you guys tomorrow about the course and anybody who's who wants to add Exocad as well. So expect my call definitely tomorrow sometime. And I just wish you all a great day. And Dan, we love you. So we can't wait till next week.
Likewise.
And you too. We love our Exocad partners. And we just wish you all a great day, and go out there and do April Fools to someone. It's fun.
Have a good one, everybody. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks again.